is a Mets here. For all your Mets here, let's go. Bring it home. Bring it home. Bring it home Make it happen. There's no stopping us now. We're gonna do it again. It's not a question of how. It's just a matter. It's just a matter. It's just a matter of when.
Hello again, everybody. Joe Piscopo, Shea Stadium. The big story. Mets 86. Exciting, thrilling, awesome. Let's take a look.
Do it. Do it. We got the teamwork to make the dream work. We got the teamwork to make the dream work. We got the teamwork to make the dream work. Ooh, we got the teamwork to make the dream work. We're gonna make it this time. We're gonna take it home.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets with Rob. How is everybody doing on this Saturday, day 3 of MLB Free Agent FRENZY? And once again, guys, we got absolutely nothing going on at the moment in regards to free agency, specifically free agency. But there's a little bit of news that I really want to get into. In regards to Michael Conforto, we're going to get into detail with Michael Conforto because it seems like the Mets are very interested in bringing back Michael Conforto, and I'm going to tell you why it's a good idea. And I see the polls, the majority of people, is about 60-40 saying yes the last time I checked, and also a little bit of news about the Chicago Cubs. Again, we all, once again, guys, With the Cubs, again, this is a Mets channel, but we are going through the Major League Baseball a little bit, so there won't be a lot to talk about. So we'll keep this to an hour stream today. There will be no stream tomorrow, so I'm pretty sure Monday will be a day we have a stream going again, so we can get everything ready to go, and hopefully there's some movement on the free agent market or some trades, and at least rumors, so we can break it down, talk about it, give our opinions, and that's what we can do. So once again, guys, thank you for tuning in to MLB Free Agent Frenzy Day 3 right here on Talking Mets with Rob. Don't forget to please hit on that like button, and if you're a new subscriber to the channel, say what's up and let me know where you're from. I see we got Jet fans and Bills fans going at it in the chat. Go Cowboys, by the way. So with that said, I want to get started with something that I read on Twitter regarding the Chicago Cubs. Excuse me. That they are interested in a big shortstop, any one of them. I mean, every name was actually put in that rumor. You know, Swanson, Turner, Correa, Bogarts, all of them are actually a possibility for the Chicago Cubs. And I think I actually made the prediction last year that Carlos Correa was going to the Cubs. If I'm not mistaken, it might have been the Phillies, but I think it was Carlos Correa to the Cubs. And don't worry, since, you know, the players don't want to sign anywhere yet. Tomorrow I'm going to post my top 10 free agents and where I think they're going to go. Maybe top 20. We'll see. We'll see how much time I have. But I will definitely post that video tomorrow. So make sure you check that video out when it pops on around probably midday, maybe 1 o'clock. So make sure you check that out. So the Cubs are interested in shortstops. That seems obvious. The Cubs said they're going to have money to spend, yet they're not going to probably re-sign Wilson Contreras, which is crazy. So the Bills fans are talking about the Jets when the Bills fan lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. Oh, I don't know about that. Robert, we'll get into that too, about what type of money these guys are looking for. Again, Carlos Correa is not going to take another 1-year deal. He took it last year. I'm not sure why he took it last year. I guess he wasn't looking. He didn't find the money or the years that he was looking for. And I guess that's the case. But again, Carlos Correa goes right back on the market with 3 other free agent shortstops. And you know what? I believe he is the 3rd youngest out of all of them. So again, I don't think if you sign Bogarts, Correa, Swanson, or Turner, I think everybody's going to get every team is going to get a really good player. It's just a matter of who fits you better, right? You know, some will say Trey Turner fits the Phillies better and the Mets. Basically, I think they both fit perfectly for both of those teams. Correa, I just feel like he's perfect for the Cubs. Swanson, I still think he's going to go back to the Braves, but there's other teams out there that could be interested in him as well. And I'm going to tell you this. There was a big reason why the Braves were so successful last year was because of Dansby Swanson. They can't lose Swanson. And there's no way in hell they're going to pay. Swanson's probably going to be the cheapest out of all of the shortstops. So that's why I think the Braves only have Swanson to get. And if they lose out on Swanson, yeah, they can use Vaughn at shortstop. That's not an issue. But you're losing one of your better players and one of the better leadoff hitters in baseball. So that would be on the Braves and what they have to do with that. So with that said, I want to get into Michael Conforto. Oh, well, since we were talking about the shortstops, Robert Vale gave a question about money-wise when it comes to the 4 shortstops. I think Trey Turner can get anywhere between $225 and $250. And I think he is probably going to get the most money out of everybody. The only reason why is because I think he's more dynamic than Bogarts. I think he's more dynamic than Correa. The reason why I like Correa is because I think that guy is clutch in the playoffs, and I think that's a big deal. But I think Turner's going to get the most money when it comes to that. It'll probably be Turner, Correa, Bogarts, and then Swanson. I don't think anybody's going to get less than $150 million. So it's a possibility, the fact that all these shortstops are going to get long-term deals. Again, some might get a 6-year deal. I don't think anybody's going to get more. I could see Turner getting an 8-year deal since he's around 28. So that kind of works out. So, even if you get an 8-year deal, you got him at 36, and you probably get about 6 really good years with most of these shortstops. So I don't think that would be a problem. So I would think, could Turner get $300 million? Possibly. I think if you get into a bidding war, like if the Mets and the Phillies really want Trey Turner, they can fight for him, and that might increase his value to $300 million. And again, that's the type of player that I wouldn't mind going that far, because I think even if you go to 8 years, you're going to get at least 6 all-star years from Trey Turner, in my opinion. And, the last 2 years you just have to deal with, just like every other long-term contract. So that's something that we have to look at going forward. But I want to get into Michael Conforto. I know most Met fans do not, or at least in what I've heard, don't want Michael Conforto back. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around why. Because besides 2021, he's been one of the most consistently good players, statistic-wise, in base for the Mets, like almost every year. And we look too much into 2021, where I think Michael Conforto just put way too much pressure on himself in a contract year, and I don't think it helps that Boris is his agent, because Boris was probably in his ear, hey, have a great year, you're going to get paid really well. And he ended up out of baseball last year, and then he got hurt in the offseason, whatever he was trying to do. So I wanted to get into the Michael Conforto stats, because I think that's important. So Michael Conforto, he's 28 years old. He's going to be 29 this year. Oh, he's going to be 30, actually. So, I think Michael Conforto probably going to get a 1-year show-me deal. So in 2021, he played 125 games. He was injured a little bit, but he played 125 games. He only had 14 home runs, 55 RBIs, and his batting average was .232. The worst of his career, by the way. Like, everything was terrible. On-base percentage was bad. Slugging was bad. OPS was bad. Everything was bad. So we look into 2021 and like, wow, terrible. It's absolutely terrible. You can't make any excuse for that. Again, I think it was more of the fact that he put too much pressure on himself in a contract year, in a year where there wasn't many outfielders out there, and he was probably going to be a sought-after free agent. And I think Boris got into his head way too much, and it just messed him up the entire year. Then the fans got on him. It was just a bad situation for Michael Conforto. I still think Michael Conforto is the guy that I'm going to talk about with the stats. 2020, I don't like to go into 2020 very much at all, but it's something to look at. 54 games in a 60-game season. He played almost every game. 9 home runs, 31 RBIs, so that projects around 25 home runs. He had a batting average of .322. Pretty damn good, right? I don't like to look at those stats only because it's 2020, and I don't like looking at 2020 stats. I think they're a waste of time. 2019, 151 games, 33 home runs, 92 RBIs. That was only 3 years ago. And it's not like he's not still in his prime. He is. Now, granted, he didn't play all year last year, nursing an injury, and also the fact that he didn't see live Major League Baseball pitching in a year. So that could be a little bit worrisome. But, I mean, he batted .257, which is about his career average. His career average is .255, so he's around that area, right? On base percentage was .363, .494, .856 OPS. And his, let's see, how many home runs? He had a batting average .257, 33 home runs, 92 RBIs. 2018, 28 home runs, 82 RBIs with a .243 batting average. Again, you're not going to have Conforto batting .280. All right, but if he bats around his career average between .250 and .270, you'll take that. With, if Michael Conforto hit 33 to 28 home runs, he would have the second most home runs on the Mets last year. So for anybody that just don't want Conforto, be careful what you wish for, because of the fact that if you lose Nimmo, we know how good Michael Conforto is in right field defensively. Marte is still in really great shape. He's a 34-year-old player, Marte, but he is so much in good shape that I think he probably ages like fine wine, to be honest with you. I think this guy probably like body type is like 30 years old. And again, he had fluke injury. He had a fluke injury that kept him out the most all year, which was getting hit by that pitch. He had a little bit of a hamstring issue, but they nursed that to the point where he still played almost, a ton of games still. He even played through that. And I think he'll be fine. And again, I'm not one of those people, people talk. There was somebody in the chat, I think it was Robert, saying, well, I'm not going to give $250 to $300 million to any of those shortstops or any of those guys that are on the free agent market. Well, are you willing to give Nimmo close to $150 million? Because that's probably what he's going to get. And that's a guy who was a no-show in September when you needed him most, right? No arm. Has to play deep in center field because he can't go back on balls. And has the least amount of assists out of center field is in the league because he plays so deep, and he has no arm. Now, offensively, you like the player. But I think we look too much into just Brandon Nimmo because we've seen him for the last couple of years, and I don't think it's that much. Again, you get a guy like Andrew Benintendi. You can get a guy like so many other different players that can be a better center fielder and still provide you with a decent leadoff situation. That's why Trey Turner, I think, is so important. I think if you get Trey Turner, Nimmo is basically obsolete. And no, Ken, I do not hate Nimmo. I just feel like the fact that why give Nimmo $150 million for whatever amount of years, 6 years, whatever it is, for a guy that last year he played the most game in his career. And oh, by the way, it's a contract year yet again, right? The same thing with Aaron Judge. I am not giving Aaron Judge $350 million for a guy who's been healthy probably a year and a half out of his career. And oh, by the way, once again, in a contract year. You got to watch out for those type of players. Nimmo, every year, sat out for nagging injuries here, nagging injuries there. And then all of a sudden, there's no nagging injuries. Another year older makes no sense to me. I think it's all a show where you could clearly Nimmo can play with nagging injuries because he did it last year. But when it was not a contract year, oh, my hand is hurting. I'm going to sit out 4 games. I just can't trust Nimmo to be healthy every year. And on top of that, be a guy that you can count on when it actually counts, because he was useless in September. He might as well went on the IL because he was that bad. Marte was out, and Nimmo was supposed to step up, and Nimmo basically, you might as well put Nimmo on the IL because he was that bad. And that was the biggest problem with Nimmo. Again, I am not going to be against bringing back Nimmo. I'm not going to, rant off for 20 minutes about Nimmo because, again, money is not the issue. The point is, like I said, if you give 6 years, $150 to Nimmo, yeah, I'd be like, wow, that's a lot of money. But you know what? I'm not going to go crazy over it. But everybody thinks Nimmo is this really, really good player when I think he's a good player, but he goes in through these slumps. And Ken, we even talked about that, right? Oh, Nimmo's gonna when he's not going well, what does Nimmo do? Strikes out a lot, doesn't take pitches, doesn't walk, and he's a completely different player. When players go through slumps, you still see who that player still is. Nimmo just seems like a completely different player when he's in a slump. Ken, now what I heard, everybody that's saying it, especially with the Rockies and Seattle Mariners, I think he's going to get at least $120 million. And I don't know if I want to do that. Again, I don't think it's about the money. It's more of the fact that I don't trust the player, one, to stay healthy, and two, every time you need this guy in big spots, in big time moments, he's basically non-existent. And again, everybody goes crazy for the Nimmo catch against the Dodgers. Well, when you play 390 feet in center field, well, you better catch that freaking ball. It was a great catch. Everybody went crazy. But if he was playing normal depth, he would have never got to that ball. And he became a better defensive player because he plays deep. And he can get to the balls in the gap, and he can get the balls deep in center field. Again, that's great that analytics help Nimmo become a better center fielder. But look at all the statistics with base hits up the middle. Can't throw guys out that are in scoring position at second base. Runners going the first to third. He cannot make those throws. And one, he already plays deep with no arm. That's already a disaster. Even when he plays normal depth, his arm is still not that good. So Nimmo is a good player. But if you're going to give $125 million to Nimmo, I'd rather you use that $125 million, package it with another $100 million or plus, and get Trey Turner, and it solves your leadoff issue. It can solve your center field issue. And I don't care what anybody says. Nimmo is nowhere near Trey Turner at all. No, Ken, again, Nimmo is good when he's on his game. When he's on his game, he's probably one of the better leadoff hitters in baseball. But let's be honest. How many months out of the year he is not that type of player? That's the biggest problem when it comes to Brandon Nimmo. Again, Ken, we were killing Brandon Nimmo throughout the year, especially in September. Oh, Nimmo's probably going to strike out here. He's going to swing at the. He's gonna have a count where he'll swing early in the count. We said that in September mostly. And again, it's not trying to say. Here's the problem: if there was nobody better on the market than Brandon Nimmo, it's a no-brainer. You know, I'm not looking at Nimmo or Judge here. I'm looking at Turner and Nimmo, and it's not even close. It's not even close. Fausto, yeah, I agree with that, with the whole Nimmo Turner thing, and then Rodon, deGrom. Again, you can't really put Rodon and deGrom in the same category because Rodon's a very good pitcher, but he's not deGrom. Yeah, Ken, and that's the other problem with Lindor as well. Again, we kill Lindor all the time. Again, but you see, the problem with, I think, is you also, Ken, and sometimes me, is the fact that we look past the negatives with these players, but yet as soon as Nimmo has a stretch that is really bad, which is the Nimmo stretch where he looks like he can't even play baseball, we're going to talk about that contract. How can you give this guy $125 million and this guy is a no-show in the biggest month of the year? It's going to happen. Just like we kill Lindor. Oh, look at that, $325 million. Look, he's swinging balls over his head. You're going to say that with Nimmo. I don't think we're going to have that issue with Trey Turner at all. And I don't know. I feel like Nimmo goes through too many slumps. And as your leadoff hitter, you can't have a guy who is Jekyll and Hyde. You just can't have that. You really can't. And it's a huge problem. And again, that's not the only problem with this Mets lineup. There's many other issues. But, you know, again, I know people don't want Conforto, and I'm not saying it's Conforto or bust. I think that's just naive to say. But Conforto was a really good player. Robert, everybody keeps on saying that. You know how many people were saying that last year with Carlos Correa and last year with other players as well, right? Max Scherzer wasn't coming to the Mets. You know, so until people – look, Trey Turner wants to come to the East Coast. That narrows it down to the Orioles, to the Mets, and to the Phillies. Don't listen to the Brave rumors because that's hilarious to me. If the Mets give more money than the Phillies, he's coming to the Mets. I don't care he's friends with Bryce Harper. You know how many friends would like to come to a team there where their friends are? It can be possible. So you know, I think here's the problem. There was no rumors about the Phillies and Trey Turner during the season at all. But yet you heard little rumblings about the Mets internally talking about Trey Turner because they think that he's probably sets up perfectly for this team and the lineup. And that's basically what we've heard through the season and right when the offseason started, when the World Series was over. Again, Philly will be a threat, absolutely. But it's laughable that the Mets would get outbid if they want that player. Again, Cohen wasn't going to get outbid for Max Scherzer, right? Cohen went to Scherzer because remember, all signs were Scherzer was going to go back to LA. LA offered him a similar contract with I think it was around $38 million for 2 years with a club option for the third year. Well, guess what? Cohen was like, what do you want? What is the Dodgers offer? He gave him $3 to $4 million more per year and guaranteed a third year. And he got the deal done. If Cohen wants somebody, he won't get outbid. And then if you see Nimmo go somewhere else, is because the Mets weren't willing to go the amount of money and to think that Nimmo was worth that much money. And the same thing goes for Turner. I think Turner anywhere between $250 and $300 million is well worth the money. And I think the Mets know that. Well, NJ Fishing, why would we ever want Conforto back? Well, tell me, why not? That guy is a joke. Why is he a joke? He's had one bad year in his career as a Met. One. And that was 2021. Every other year, I just went over it. 33 home runs, 28 home runs, 92 RBIs, 88 RBIs. You know how many players had more home runs in this lineup in 2021? One, Pete Alonso. That's a problem. So we talk about, okay, NJ Fishing, that's fine. But also the Mets got players that had one of their bad seasons of their career, right? We got Max Scherzer coming off of playoffs where he had a dead arm and couldn't pitch in the playoffs. Nobody cared about that. So you don't kill the Scherzer signing, but you kill for the Mets to go back and get Michael Conforto, who had one bad year. And considering he had a bad season for Michael Conforto terms, we're going to go crazy. Yet he would have had more home runs than everybody on his team except Pete Alonso. Yet we were chasing a power hitter the entire year. Granted, not saying that the Mets could have just signed Conforto to a one-year deal if that was possible. Even though he declined a qualifying offer. He did get hurt in the offseason, so that's something that's another problem. But let's not act like Michael Conforto wasn't the better player on this Mets team for many, many years. He would have been one of the best players on this team. I mean, besides Lindor and Alonso, who was really good this year? Brandon Nimmo was good. Jock Peterson, people are obsessed with Jock Peterson. Jock Peterson strikes out 200 times, and that's all he does. I don't like Jock. Like, if you want Jock Peterson for a DH role, fine. But you're not putting Jock Peterson in right field. It's just, that's stupid. All right. Jock Peterson as a DH, I can deal with that. But let's be honest. Jock Peterson, you can't throw in right field and expect. Let's look at Jock Peterson. Since everybody, wants Jock Peterson, let's look at Jock Peterson. All right, let's go. Let's see what we got. Alrighty. All right, so here we go. Jock Peterson. Right, everybody loves Jock Peterson. All right, here we go. So we'll go back to the years where Michael Conforto was really good. 36 home runs. Conforto had 38. 25 home runs in 2018. Michael Conforto had 23. Okay, fine. But here, after 2019 season, in 2020, 7 home runs. Conforto had 9. 2021, 18 home runs. Conforto had 12. Not much of a difference, right? 2021 combined, He had 18 home runs. He had in 2021 18 home runs with Chicago and Atlanta, and had 23 home runs last year. He batted 274, not bad, but every other year, his highest average of his career was last year at 274, and he played 134 games. And granted, Jock Peterson's not a bad player. Well, yeah, Jimmy, I agree with Jock Peterson. I get the postseason part, but you don't have to put him in right field to put him as a part of your team. I like his bat more than a defensive guy in right field. And Jay Fishing, he turned down $120 million because Boris thought he would get more. If Conforto had a decent year in 2021, Conforto was getting $200 million easily. Easily. I mean, we gave Marte $78 million for a 32-year-old, 33-year-old, right? You know, NJ, then who do you want? Because according to you, Conforto sucks. Jock Peterson's terrible. So that's two outfielders that we're not going to get. Yeah, Daniel, Jacob deGrom is getting more than that. That's the problem. So it's like, who do you want? That's the problem. If you're going to say Aaron Judge, I'll laugh you to the bank right now because it's not happening. Marte was hurt every other week. Yet Marte, we'll look at that too. Why not? Because that's the most important thing, right? Let's see. Marte played 118 games, right? 118 games last year. And remember, he missed a month, which was about 30 games, because he got hit in the hand by a pitch. It's not like he was running the first base and pulled a hamstring and missed a month. He got hit in the hand, which is a fluke injury, right? All right, Brandon Nimmo played 151 games. Finally, 2021, 92 games. 2019, 69 games. 2018, 140 games. Wow. That was the first time he was able to start. And look at that. So everybody just wants to bring back Nimmo, yet he finally played over 140 games in his career. So there you go. So everybody's clamoring to bring Nimmo back, but yet he's never played more than 140 games except for last year. So we're going to take Nimmo's 151 games and say, thank God, Nimmo is finally healthy. Yet Nimmo sat out every single time in a nagging injury, but nobody complained about it. The guy didn't even play 100 games for the last 3 years. And now we want to give him $125 million because he miraculously stayed healthy in a contract year. You guys are insane with that situation. So you don't want Nimmo. You don't want Michael Conforto. You don't want Jock Peterson. All right, so now Aaron Judge is left. So you're going to pay a 31-year-old $350 million. You're going to put in right field because you need a right fielder. Okay, look, money's not the issue. The Mets aren't signing Correa unless they lose out on Turner. Correa, look, I don't mind Correa. Listen, you get Correa, you get Turner, I'm all on board. Look, Bogarts or even Swanson for that matter, either one of them. And that's fine. You want to throw one of those shortstops at second base? No problem. McNeil can go to the outfield. You got Marte in right. You're still going to either need a center fielder or a right fielder, depending on the situation with what you're going to do, right? So I don't know where you're going when it comes to that. And that's the issue that we keep on coming back to, right? Again, any of these shortstops are a really good addition to the Mets lineup. Again, I think Turner is the most dynamic, and I think you could play him in center, second, wherever you need to play him, one of those two positions, and he'll be a leadoff hitter. And the fact of the matter is, you're still going to need another outfielder if you get one of those shortstops. And that's why I said, what is such the big deal because Jock Peterson is probably going to cost you around, again, money's not an issue, it's 2 years. Again, I don't trust Jock Peterson. Honestly, I think he's a terrible season player. He's really good in the playoffs, and that's what you're going to need. But we got to get to the playoffs first, right? For everybody to think the Mets are just going to make the playoffs, everybody's like, let's save our, prospects and, save for the future and everything else. But yet the Mets had a chance to make themselves better. And if you saw what happened in the playoffs, teams that the Mets had to beat, the Dodgers and the Braves, they would only had to go through one of them instead of two of them. So it sucks. But it is what it is. Again, the Judge situation, I don't think it's about money. To be honest with you, it's not. It's not about the money. I think it's about the years. Because he's probably going to get 8 years. And again, I think he's still going to the Giants. I don't think Aaron Judge, Yankee career, he's going to throw out the window and become a Met. I think it's a lot easier for Judge to go to the Giants. Yes, it would hurt the Yankee fans, but it won't be a complete heartbreak if he goes to the Mets. I don't think Aaron Judge is going to do that because I think the Giants is going to pay the most anyway. Daniel says Jock kills the Mets. Great. Jock kills the Mets. Great. So now we put him on the Mets and he sucks against everybody else, right? I mean, come on. Well, Daniel, we'll see. Yeah, I agree with the catching situation with McCann and Nito. There's a couple of teams that were interested in possibly trading for McCann. But again, Alvarez is going to get every opportunity in spring training to win that job. If he wins the job, Billy Epler even said that he can carry 3 catchers. And again, with the DH now, you don't have to worry about double switches, a ton of pinch hit situations. So, and the reason why the Mets pinch hit more than anybody in Major League Baseball last year, you know why? Because they never had a real DH, and half of the players couldn't get a damn hit late in the year. So they constantly had a pinch hit trying to get lightning in a bottle. So Alvarez is going to get every opportunity to win the catching position. If he plays well and he works well with the pitchers, then perfect. Bring him, let him come up, let him start, and you'll figure out the catching situation. And when it comes to third base, give Beatty every opportunity with Escobar. I think Beatty, you can always bring him up. It's not a bad idea to have Escobar and Beatty as your third base guy. That's fine. Lefty-righty situation as well. I still think Escobar right-handed is a lot better than left-handed. So you got that situation as well. Whoever plays better wins the job. It's not about money anymore, right? Whoever plays better, plays. Very simple. Alien, his skills are questionable, but what we've heard those situations, right? We haven't actually seen them. We've heard reporters, and how many more times do we have to hear reporters, act like they know everything, and then at the end of the day, Alvarez can be a lot better catching wise because you heard Scherzer and deGrom when they went to their rehab assignments pitch to him a lot, saying that he's good behind the plate and he works well with the pitchers. So if he's getting better, again, according to Sandy Alderson, we got James McCann because he's a great catcher and they thought he was gonna offensively gonna be better than he was. So we got James McCann like, all right, we don't have to worry about the defense. We know he's gonna be good defensively. Yet, how many pass balls did he have? He couldn't frame pitches. He was terrible. All he was good at was throwing out runners. And that was a huge problem. Again, if Alvarez hits, he is going to play. I don't care because that's a possible 30 home run guy that you can put in this lineup. And I think it's a big freaking deal for Alvarez. Again, he's number 1 ranked prospect in baseball. Stop babying him. I don't see the Braves wasting their time. I don't see the Phillies, when they brought up Stott, they let him go through growing pains. Let these guys go through growing pains. Every year, the Braves bring up a rookie that come up from Double-A, and they struggle for a little bit, but yet they become a big-time player. So let's stop babying these players. All right? Take the training wheels off, put them out there. you got the money, you got the veteran presence. If you want to start Beatty, he struggles, you got Escobar to back him up. If Alvarez struggles, you still got Nito and McCann as your catchers. It's not like we're going in there with it's Alvarez or bust. It's not like we're going with Beatty or bust. There's other options if they struggle. It's not like we're worried we're gonna have these guys up here and there's no other option. Well, Ken, I tend to agree with that, but even with the scouting, right? And I think the Cohen with his money is getting better scouts, more analytical with players and stuff like that. I think it's going to get better over time, but that takes time. I think you know that, Ken. It takes time to develop really good scouts and develop the players. Like the Mets had the #1 ranked draft in baseball last year with Jet Williams and Kevin Parada. Those guys are automatically in the top 6 of the Mets farm system already. And that's something you already see the scouting working, right? How many times did the Mets draft somebody and these guys weren't even in the top 10 right away? Jet Williams and Jet and Parada are already in the top 6 in the Mets farm system. That's a big deal. And you can already see the Cohen effect happening with scouting. Again, people keep on saying that the Mets farm system is garbage, yet and then people always jump over themselves with the Yankee prospects, but yet how many times did you look at the Mets and who they brought up over the years, yet the farm system is bad, right? Again, you gotta look at guys who still are in the majors and still are a quality to good player, right? Steven Matz, Noah Syndergaard, Jacob deGrom, right? Those are 3 right there. 3 pitchers that, all right, Matz and Syndergaard fell off the face of the earth, but they're still in the majors. They're still, Matz was in a starting role with the Cardinals. Noah Syndergaard was part of the Phillies when they traded for him. Jacob deGrom is Jacob deGrom. We all know that. But you got Nimmo, you got Alonso, you got McNeil. Those 3 guys came up from the Mets farm system. So it doesn't make sense that people are like, oh, it's so bad. Ken, listen, I don't even want to talk about Ronnie Mauricio anymore because if I have to hear another Mets fan saying that we shouldn't trade Mauricio, let me know when you're going to move him from shortstop and put him in a position in the minors that can actually help this freaking team. Because he's a talented player. He's hitting the cover off the ball in the Dominican Winter League. He's playing his ass off offensively. We know he's really good at shortstop. Why haven't the Mets moved him to second base, third base, or at least second base or center field? Makes no sense, right? Wouldn't it make sense to move Mauricio to center field or second base, knowing that if Mauricio was ready to go and he plays second, he does it well, McNeil can go to left field, Mauricio can be a second baseman. Solve a lot of problems, right? Why don't the Mets move him from shortstop? And I'm going to tell you right now, they are not moving Mauricio ever since they signed Lindor. They're not moving Mauricio to another position because they're worried that if they move him to second or move him to center field and defensively he doesn't do well, his value is going to go down. And that's what they don't want. Mauricio needs to be in every big trade package for whatever big player you want to talk about. If it was Ohtani at the time, if it's a big-time pitcher, if it's a big bat, whatever it is, Mauricio needs to be in that trade package. Insider, well, I am going to do it, but again, there ain't really much going on. I talked about the Cubs earlier, about that they're interested in every shortstop on the market. We know the 4 shortstops, Swanson, Correa, Turner, and Bogarts. The Cubs are interested in them. Insider, what fan are you? What team are you a fan of? That's what I want to know. Because if I'm going to stand here and speak about every team in baseball, you'll probably shut the stream off. Well, Ohtani's not a free agent. he's still on a 1-year deal with the Angels. So I'm just looking through the comments really quick. Daniel, again, it's not you're not going to get Jacob deGrom for 3 years and more money. I'm telling you right now, the Rangers are going to give him at least 4 years, probably 5. The Rangers are desperate for pitching, right? Are you going to give 5 years? And I'm not talking about money. 5 years to Jacob deGrom, guaranteed. No opt out, no club option, player option, 5 years guaranteed. Because I think the Rangers are willing to go 5 years just to get Jacob deGrom. I don't think the Mets are going to go beyond 4 years. I don't blame them. I'm not going more than 4 years for Jacob deGrom for somebody who looks like he is vulnerable to break down because of the injuries he's had recently. Yeah, prediction for the prediction for where deGrom goes. I think he's going to the Rangers. And I don't think it's because the Mets don't bring up a good offer. Like, if you hear the Mets say 4 years, $200 million, but the Rangers go 5 years, $250 or $225 or $230, how can you blame the Mets for not matching that? Because, again, I think Met fans, we're not used to players coming back to the Mets and say, hey, can you match that? We don't want to be used as a pawn, right? deGrom knows. That's why you heard the rumors right away that deGrom is interested in going to the Rangers. Why do you think that? Because deGrom knows the Rangers will give more years probably than the Mets. He knew that that's going to scare the Mets organization and the Mets front office a little bit. So he's trying to scare them into more years and more money. Steve Cohen is not going to let that happen. Don't use us as a pawn, right? Steven Matz did it. Noah Syndergaard did it, right? What happened when Steven Matz went to the Cardinals, right? And Cohen, right after Steven Matz went to the Cardinals, Cohen said we were going to have a deal, and then all of a sudden we woke up the next day and he was a Cardinal. What did he do the next 2 days later? He went out and traded for Chris Bassett. Cohen is not going to be used as a pawn. If you're going to get money, you're going to do it on your own fruition. You're not going to do it by baiting us into more money and more years just because you want to go somewhere. Because if Jacob deGrom really wants to go to Texas, he can milk it and get more money out of the Texas Rangers and use the Mets to get more money from the Texas Rangers. That's not going to happen. The Mets know what they want to spend and how many years they want to spend it on deGrom. They're not stupid, guys. I think we're making it seem like Cohen has no say in this matter when Cohen has all the say in this matter. Scherzer is here because of Cohen, not because of Billy Epler. If Steve Cohen wants Jacob deGrom, he will get him. If he wants to give 5 years to Jacob deGrom, that's on Steve Cohen. Can't complain about that. Because if you gave 5 years to Jacob deGrom, it's all Steve Cohen. And that's fine. But Steve Cohen is not going to be used to get more money from another team. Because if Jacob deGrom really doesn't want to be here and comes back because the Mets gave him more years and more money, we're going to have the same conversations we had over the last 2 years. Does Jacob deGrom really want to be here? Does he like it here? Every time he has a nagging injury, is he not going to pitch? Every time he takes the mound, we're going to worry about an injury. There is no Met fan that didn't watch Jacob deGrom on the mound and worry every inning. When he gave up, when he gave up got that 4-run lead in Oakland and gave it up and got destroyed on the mound in Oakland, everybody thought he was hurt. Do you want to have that every single time he comes on the mound, or are you just going to forget about it because he's going to be here no matter what? You got to think a bit that way as well. You got to take a step back and not just have the Mets rose-colored glasses on. You have to look at it from a baseball perspective. Is it good to have a coach, a manager, a GM, and an owner, and a fan every fifth day? We have to worry about Jacob deGrom breaking down. I can't do that every single day. If this guy does not want to be here, leave. Bye. Go. Right? That's what we talked about all year. Does Jacob deGrom really want to be here? I mean, come on, guys. Like, why do we want people that don't want to be here? I don't give a damn how good you are. If you don't want to be here, we don't want you here. And that's the way it should be. Dwayne, I agree. I don't think Matz is very good. But the whole point of the Steven Matz and Noah Syndergaard thing was Cohen was pissed off that he was used to get a better deal elsewhere. Cohen was pissed off about that. That's why they traded for Chris Bassett. And I think that's after the Noah Syndergaard situation, you knew that Cohen was pissed off. And what did he do? He did everything he can to get Max Scherzer. And then he traded for Chris Bassett. That's not a coincidence. Noah Syndergaard takes a little bit more money to go to the Angels. The Mets signed Max Scherzer not so long after that. Steven Matz, all indications were Cohen was going to give Steven Matz a 2-year deal. Like that was they thought they had a deal ready to go. Steven Matz and his agent took that deal to the Cardinals, and the Cardinals did a little bit better. And Steven Matz was gone. Cohen was pissed off. Then he got Chris Bassett. Don't think Cohen's going to take that crap from Jacob deGrom. If you don't want to be here, try to get 5 years and whatever money from the Rangers. Because if the Rangers know that the Mets are not going to go more than 3 years, why would they offer Jacob deGrom 5 years? If Jacob deGrom goes to the Mets and they give him 4 years, all right, you can see the Texas Rangers going 5 years. But don't use us as a way to get more money and more years from another team. Because it happened last year with Noah Syndergaard and Steven Matz. And Cohen came up with something else. Scherzer and Bassett. So if Jacob deGrom does not want to be here, find a way to get the money and years you want from another team without our help. That's the way I see it. I don't want to play you here. I don't want to hear Jacob deGrom bitching and moaning and complaining because you don't. These rumors about him not wanting to be here or him complaining about every nagging injury doesn't come from the Mets. All right. I can assure you Jacob deGrom is quiet, but I can assure you he talked to his agent that his agent leaks that stuff out. Alien, I don't have a problem with deGrom getting 5 years from the Mets either. But I don't want to hear, oh, the Mets offered him 5 years, $225, and then he went back to the Rangers, took that offer and says, hey, can you match that or do more? How can you be mad at the Mets if Jacob deGrom takes a similar money or a little bit more to go to the Rangers? It clearly he didn't want to be here. So I don't know. It's tough to think. Again, if deGrom really wants to be here, and I don't want to hear about, in the middle of June that, oh, we can't go 7 innings because we have to save him for the playoffs. How did that work out this year? Pitch him. He's pitching well. His pitch count is good. Leave him out there. Stop babying this guy when you're going to give him probably $45, $50 million. Stop it. All right, because if Chris Bassett can go 7 or 8 innings and the Mets don't care about his arm, because clearly every time Bassett pitched, he went on a 2-month pitching outing every game where he pitched at least 7 innings at least for Chris Bassett. But the Mets didn't care about his arm when Bassett was pitching 110 pitches, 115 pitches, yet pitching 7 innings for 2 months straight. Nobody cared about that, right? Nobody cared about Chris Bassett's arm. But, oh, God, if Jacob deGrom throws 99 pitches or more in 6 innings, we have to take him out. Don't baby him. You're paying him to pitch. Keep his ass out there. If not, let him go to the Texas Rangers and lose 90 games. Because everybody just keeps on saying, oh, the Texas Rangers. They still have to beat Seattle. They still have to beat the Astros. Those are 2 teams in their division that they can't beat at the moment. And Seattle's better, and the Astros just won a World Series. I'm sorry. But if he wants to go to Texas and live that Texas life, because that's around, that's not that close to Florida, okay? I know it's around the same amount of flight from Texas to Florida, New York to Florida. But let's be honest. Come on. If he really wanted to just go close to home, he would go to Atlanta. But guess what? Atlanta's not going to pay him that much money. So unless he's going to want $35 million in 3 years, he ain't going to the Braves. So, again, I want players that want to be here. You know, I know Canna is not a great player, but Canna talked about how much he loved it here. He even said he wants to play the rest of his career here. I want players that want to be here. Pete Alonso wants to be here. Lindor, last year, I didn't think he wanted to be here. I think he was, you know, with the thumbs down thing, I thought Lindor was going to have a hard time. And I don't think he wanted to. I think he thought he made a big mistake. But Lindor embraced New York this year. He loved it. And now he can't get enough of it. He talked about that. McNeil, the same thing. Guys love to play here. Marte loves to play here. You know, Escobar talks about how much fun it is. When he got that big hit against the Marlins, right? He talked about it, how much fun it was, that he loved to do it in front of his fans. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So it comes back to the same thing. It comes down to the fact that I want players that want to be here. And if Jake doesn't want to be here, I don't care how good he is. But we have to baby him through a season to get to the playoffs. Let's not waste our time. All right? Give me, you know, nobody talked about Chris Bassett going 7 innings for 2 months straight, throwing 100+ pitches almost every outing. Yet nobody gave a damn, oh, we got to worry about him getting injured or worry about him for the playoffs. Yet he was the determining factor of us going to the NLDS or going home. So it's tough. It's really tough to think that the Mets would give a guy 5 years, $250 million for a guy who probably really deep down doesn't want to be here and his family might not want to be in New York. Yet people are just jumping over him like, oh, oh my God, we can hear Simple Man at Citi Field. Great. Jacob deGrom comes back. The Mets give him all the money in the world, all the years he wanted, and Simple Man plays on opening day. Fans go crazy. We all will, right? It's a great moment. Our homegrown talent, best pitcher in baseball when he's healthy, possibly Hall of Famer, is going to be a Met, possibly for the rest of his career. It's possible. And we'll all be happy about that, right? We'll all have that nostalgia moment like, oh, this is great. This is like David Wright all over again. How did that contract work out, right? At least David Wright wanted to be here. So let's see what happens. I don't think Jacob deGrom wants to be here. But if the Mets give him more years and more money, he'll be back here. So now we got a guy that has all the money in the world, can't stay healthy in the last 2 years, who doesn't want to be here. But let's give him a standing ovation. Let's kiss his feet like he's the best thing since Jesus Christ. All right? I'm sorry. Just not what I want to deal with. I want to go into a game knowing that I don't have to worry about Jacob deGrom's pitch count or innings. Now, I'm not saying in the month of April, all right, you always watch every pitcher's pitch count and innings because that's what you do. But when you're in June and July and I'm hearing, oh, we're not throwing deGrom more than 6 innings or we're not making a pitch over 100 pitches, why not? If he's going well, he's pitching well, what's the difference between 100 and 115? I can assure you his arm's not falling off his freaking body. Just that simple, guys. So it's almost 6 o'clock. Again, there's not really been a lot of news at all, which I'm not expecting. I doubt anything's going to happen the rest of on Sunday. You know, football Sunday. I doubt baseball is going to try to bring up news on football Sunday. Monday, once again, 5 p.m. MLB Free Agent Frenzy. We will go into hopefully more rumors. We'll get a little bit more information about what's going on throughout Major League Baseball, specifically the Mets as well. Explosive. I think there's going to be more of the probably closer to Thanksgiving. I think you're going to hear a lot more rumors and probably something gets done. But when you hear development stories where the Mets, because we know the Mets are going to give an offer to Brandon Nimmo. We know the Mets are going to give an offer to Jacob deGrom. It's just a matter of when they are going to do that. Because remember, Jacob deGrom, I don't think Jacob deGrom has opted out of that qualifying offer yet. He didn't decline it yet. Because what he's doing, he's going around the league, the teams that he thinks want him and want to spend money on him. He wants to find out what his offers are, or at least what his projected offers are from other teams. Because he hasn't declined that yet. The same thing with Brandon Nimmo. They didn't decline it yet. So they're going around the league, seeing what type of deals they could get from other teams. And obviously, they're probably going to decline the qualifying offer, both of them. But again, they haven't yet. So before they decline offers, those qualifying offers, the Mets are going to know what they would have to do to keep those guys if they really want to keep them. So the ball is still in the Mets' court if they want to keep these guys. But they're not going to pay him outrageously and play games with Jacob deGrom just to get more money because he don't want to be in New York. So he's going to do everything he can to jack up the price for the Texas Rangers, because all the Mets have to do and says, here, Jake, 4 years, $200 million, take it or leave it. He's going to take that offer, go to the Texas Rangers and says, can you do better? If Texas says no, he'll be a Met. If Texas says, oh, we'll give you 4 years, $225, he's probably gone. I don't even think he's going to go back to the Mets to say, hey, can you match it? He's gone. So, with that said, guys, thank you for tuning in to MLB Free Agent Frenzy Day 3. Again, another slow free agent period. No trades, not a lot of rumors. A little bit about the Cubs being interested in all the big-time shortstops that are available, and more information about the Mets really being interested more in Michael Conforto, and probably on a short-term deal, probably a one-year deal. That's all we heard at the moment. Well, before I ended, Hal Steinbrenner did say, for Yankee fans that might be in the stream, the fact of the matter that Hal Steinbrenner has had open communication with Aaron Judge since the playoffs have been over. So, and Hal said in an interview that he'll do it whatever he can within his means to keep Aaron Judge. Again, whatever that means, I don't know. But that's the news when in regard to Aaron Judge. So nothing out there yet. Again, I think until the qualifying offers are all declined, you're probably not going to see a lot of movement from those players. You know, they're trying to feel out what's out there and what type of deals they could get from other teams before they officially decline, and then things will start moving. So, with that said, guys, thank you for watching MLB Free Agent Frenzy Day 3. I'll see you back on Monday at 5 p.m. for MLB Free Agent Frenzy Day 5. Once again, guys, I appreciate it. Before you go, if you did not hit on that like button, please do, so people can watch this after the stream is over. And also, if you're a new subscriber, thank you for subscribing to the channel. We'll keep on coming back for more. Everybody, have a good night. As always, Met fans, let's go Mets. See you next time, guys.
You'll find a Mets fan. Let's go. This is a Mets year for all your Mets here.